You know, pioneers, there is one absolute certain thing that I can say. And that is, even if we gave it all away today, all of it, the crypto, the money, the clothes, the car, everything, they could still never, no one could ever take back the history that we've made. But it wasn't always easy. See, at first, I was really broke. I didn't understand how to do this, how to create the content, how to start this channel. And my son asked me, "Are you gonna quit?" You know, and I told him, "Yeah, dude, I'm really close, man. You know, I just don't understand it. This is all new to me, technology, etc., you know? I like the pen, the paper, to think, to be out in nature. There's no place I'd rather be than with the birds, bees, leaves, and trees." And he told me, "Just don't quit, Dad. Just keep going." And I didn't. And that not quitting for one more day and holding on into the next day, here we are today. You know? And now I'm hopeful and optimistic. And my son asked me, "Dad, are you going to be hopeful for the rest of your life?" And I told him, "You know, Bentley, I don't know. But I can tell you this, I'm going to be hopeful for one more day." You see, there were these times in my life where I was like, you know, I may not be the best, the smartest. I may make mistakes. I might not be the best talker, the best deliverer. I might not be the tallest, the strongest. Yeah, I might not get out of this work life, this just over broke, this job, you know. But I'm going to do one more day. I'm going to do one more video, one more episode. You know, I'm not going to give up. I found my purpose. So don't quit, pioneers. Find your purpose. And then live out your dream. Find your motivation that keeps you going in life. You see, because ever since I can remember, I knew I was destined for greatness. And that we all were. But my life, it had these hurdles, these trials, these tribulations, and I constantly hit obstacles that I put in my way time and time again. And I had to hurdle these. You know, I had to figure out how to deal with making mistakes and managing suffering and pain and anguish. Because if I didn't, then it'd be part of my life forever. So in order to deal with it, I had to conquer it and overcome my shadow, realign my moral compass. And I knew with suffering and pain and anguish, there had to be some kind of growth. Every obstacle, every trial and tribulation, I look at it as friction now. Without friction, there is no growth. Without pain, there is no growth. You have to have friction in your life to grow. So I started looking at all these different things, my life, how it's so messed up at the time. I come from this messed up past, this, you know, stuck with a 15-year sentence in prison, stuck with thoughts of suicide for more than 10 years. I looked at it as a perfect starting ground. To flip it upside down, I'm suffering tremendously, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and I'm going to use it as my advantage and not my disadvantage. I'm not going to be a victim, I'm going to be a victor. And I'm not going to quit. If I can overcome this, what could you do with what you're going through? If you can find some power in what you're dealing with, you can go through it. But you got to be willing to go through it, to grow through it. And that'll be the fuel for the rest of your life. Find great strength in suffering, pain, setbacks, failures. Because that will start to callous your mind over the victim mentality. This whole thing about suffering, it sucks. You know, it's hard, but we all live and fight to live another day. But we can live on the other side of suffering, outside the box. You know? Instead of stuck in this place where we think everything's comfortable, we're complacent, you know, everything's gonna work out one day. You know? It's the few people that are willing to go through the work, put in the work, build a process to get them to their outcome. Ask them how it feels now that they've done it. Because I guarantee they've been through some of the things that you've been through. And they grew. Like the Grinch, whose heart grew 3 times the size that day. Because he was willing to go the extra mile outside of himself for others. But it starts with yourself. Know thyself. But some of us, we put ourselves inside this box. Social limelight, etc. Society. And we separate ourselves from greatness and our higher purpose, our higher potential. You know, I used to make less than $1,000 a month, living in that box. You know, where there was hail, suffering, storms, avalanches, tornadoes, hurricanes. And I wanted to get away from that. But on the other side of that box, when I stepped outside that box, was somebody else. Someone that became the alchemist of their own reality, the architect of their own life, the author of their own book, and the director of their own movie. And through all the pain and suffering, I got here. And I ain't done yet. I ain't gonna quit yet. We gonna keep going. Big things coming. You know, but I wasn't okay making less than $1,000 a month. So when you step outside the box and you go the path untook, and that's when your journey starts. But that's when your journey starts. That's when the trials and tribulations comes. The suffering, the pain, the anguish hits you even harder. But that's when you start climbing mountains, and you get down the other side, and you get here, and you're just looking for another mountain. And it goes on. The pain, the suffering, the anguish, the trials and tribulations, the hard work, and just when you get ready to quit, when you can't find no other mountain, you find another one. And there you are, climbing another mountain, and it starts to make sense to you again and again. But it doesn't make sense to you till you step outside the box. And I'm talking to so many of you pioneers right now. What I say is not for everybody. So many people don't have a clue on what I'm saying because they're inside the box. Society, social media, TikTok, sporting events, fantasy football, Snapchats. Step outside the box, pioneers. Be you. Because what you believe in your hearts and speak in your minds will eventually become your words and your reality one day. You know, but you've got to trust the process. And when you do that, you're able to shine and you're able to soar with your wings and fly above everyone else. We've got a lot of things to talk about. Certainly hope you're all doing well. Sending you much love wherever you are. Go ahead and get your favorite drink, your favorite snack. Kick back, relax. Light up your favorite strand, because it's going to be another Wop Bamboozle, this, that, and the third Hangout session with a whole lot of things to talk about. We've recently seen the British pound collapse and plummet. You know, are we screwed? Because the Bank of England, is it sending messages to us all around the world that currencies are failing, that are getting ready to implode? Is there going to be a financial and economic collapse? Is a monetary change on the way? A lot of things that we've been talking about for multiple years, preparing you for. But, you know, let's continue the inspiration, the motivation before we get into the minutia and monotony, because I'm feeling myself today. Woke up all beautiful and shit on this beautiful Tuesday, Martes, the day of Mars. And I want to shout out to everyone who's trusting their process right now. Shout out to all the chosen ones who's trusting the timing of their life. And shout out to all of you pioneers who are trusting the journey, trusting the process, the skill and the craft that you're building to get you to your outcome. You know, I'm crazy. A loose cannon. But I'm not, you know, insane, you guys. Why do I say this? Because in 2011, my life changed forever. Convicted felon facing 15 years in prison that led to just a down spiral in my life. And I let go of everything that was important to me. Family, friends, loved ones, my higher purpose, my goal. But I knew I was going to figure this out. I knew I was going to trust the process. I was going to trust my journey. And now follow forward. It's all worked out. Can I get a hello? Because the universe works in mysterious ways. It works in my favor if I'm willing to ask, what am I supposed to learn from this? What I'm going through? See, the universe works in our favor if we're willing to raise the frequency and raise the vibration and think about others and not just ourselves. See, there's a respectful and a disrespectful kind of selfishness. Okay, and I've shared this with you all before. I'm just here to share the love. So take all of that, take that, the love, the high vibrations. Let's start this off right on this Hangout session today, because we got a lot of things to talk about. Take a deep breath of prana and release all the worries. Hakuna Matata. There'll be no worries for the rest of our days, pioneers. Let's go. We're out here in this wonderful matrix, plugged in, bringing you all the important information, geopolitical, educational, informational, motivational, spiritual, finance-wise. And if you're watching this is your confirmation that you're going to be celebrating something major soon that's going to rock you out of your world. And you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Coach was right. I can't believe it happened to me. I can't believe they dug me out of the trenches. That out of all the people in the world, through all the storms that I've been through, it's me here today. You hear me, pioneers? You can trust that everything is going to work out. It's going to be okay. Why? No matter what you're going through, why? Because you're going to make it okay. You're going to get up today and say, I'm going to have a great day. We got to manifest it and make it okay. Speak it into reality. You got to make it okay. Live your life like you're the president of your own world, your own universe. Let go of all the worries to move forward. But you got to learn to trust the process, to trust your journey, trust what you're going through, the timing of your life, so you can reap the benefits. But I want to share these important jewels with you, pioneers. I don't want to just light fire up under your ass. I want to show you how to manifest it and speak it into reality, day in and day out, constantly. That's my goal. Be the coach, the greatest motivational manifestation, life skill, finance, inspiration coach in the world one day. In 2011, I suffered a major life change. Sent to prison, maximum security, living amongst killers, rapists, criminals, And instead of falling in line with that world, I built my own while I was there. And I started working on a process and a skill that was going to one day get me to where I can share messages to keep others from, inspire others from going that same route. I want to inspire them to live their best life, be their best self. People around me think I'm crazy. Think, John, what are you doing? Well, I started from scratch, pioneers. In that moment, I learned to trust the process and build my skill and craft. I was looking a little shaky, like a deer lost in the headlights, didn't know which way to go, but I knew I was gonna figure it out one day. Fast forward, we're here on the Daily Candle Close News, almost 3 years in. Looking better than we can ever, feeling better than we can ever feel. How'd I do it, though? Well, I never gave up. I didn't quit. I was tested, trialed, and tribulated, faced with obstacles, roadblocks. But I hurdled them, and I'm still hurdling them. I make mistakes today, but I'm trusting the process and the journey. And I'm documenting it all. You may want to get somewhere in life, and you're not there yet. But look at how far you've already came, and just because it may not be happening for you right now, it doesn't mean it's not gonna happen. You can't give up, you can't quit. My 11-year-old son can paint you a picture. It's that easy. I only ever sleep with one eye closed and one eye open. And I barely sleep, I'm always at work. I'm always working on myself. I don't want to fall completely asleep. I want to put in those 10,000 hours. I want to go that extra mile. I want to do that extra rep. I want to push myself harder than anybody else around me so I can level up, grow more, so I can be more. See, when I first started this journey, I had a vision. And I knew what I wanted, which was to inspire millions of people and to speak to millions of people. And I'm manifesting that right now. So to let go and trust the process, to move forward in your life, you have to know what you want. You have to know what you want to be. You have to be the co-creator of your own life, because remember, you were built by the Creator in the image of the Creator. Therefore, you are co-creators. Start creating, pioneers. Create your own vision, your own journey. If you're not creating your own vision, someone else will. If you're not living your own life, someone else will. If you're not living your own journey, someone will live it for you. You don't want that, pioneers. That patience word is needed to let go and trust the process. Trust the timing of your life. I had to learn patience. I just wanted it right now. I wanted to get out of the prison right then. I wanted to get over the suffering, the anguish, the pain, the being broke. But I had to trust that there are cycles in life. And I'm trusting that there are more cycles to come, more chapters in the book that I'm writing. The whole universe, though, is inspiring to help me achieve what I want. I just don't have to give up on what I want. I gotta believe in myself. I had to love what I was doing. You know? Even back in the day, stuck around criminals and etc. You know? I still loved who I was and what I was going through and the journey that was building me to where I am today. I wasn't focused on any money I can make and how famous I could be or whatever. I was focused on where my heart was at. And even if you're not making progress, that's okay as long as you have passion, a good attitude. You're living out of love, abundance, and gratitude. Because you know, one day, as long as you keep climbing that mountain, you're going to reach the top. And you'll be there, looking for the next mountain to climb. You know? But don't pay attention to the distractions around you and the things that we're going to be talking about. You know? But let's go ahead and get into this. Again, sending you all much love, but we've got a lot of things to talk about. Again, currencies collapsing all around the world. The British pound, something we spoke about in our second to last video. I know I recently came out and couldn't finish a video with you all. I had a major pounding headache that just kept me from finishing. I couldn't just gain my train of thought, but I'm back today, on track. You know, life hits us, you guys. And that's what this message is about. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the things that we're seeing. Like just the raging 30 trillion in debt that we're going to be speaking a little bit about with the GDP and gross domestic products and the emergency Fed meeting that we saw on yesterday, October the 3rd, 10/3. A very important day that we'll be breaking down that ties us into Mercury and the god of commerce and finance. So very important, something we share with you here. We like to tie in things. If you're new, we use an exoteric, outside the box approach with a valuable, very systematic metric system with things like numerology, gematria, astrology, prehistoric teachings from an ancient prehistoric world, pi, the periodic table of elements, you know, the golden ratio of pi, facts, figures, numbers, logics, and just common sense, so we can understand, so we can understand this realm and world and, you know, economy that we live in. So, grand rising to all you pioneers. It's Tuesday, Martes, the day of Mars, heading into Wednesday, tomorrow. Let me make sure of that. Wednesday, tomorrow, which is going to be the day of Mercury, the day of commerce. So, very important. You know, the Feds called an emergency meeting yesterday as economies start to collapse all around the world, you know. We see not only is the British pound collapsing, but we see that, well, you know, the euro is at like a 37-year, you know, all-time low. You've got the yen at just lows all around the world, and we can share this with you with just currency after currency, you know, just exploding due to something we spoke about in one of our recent videos. We'll be speaking about GDP numbers, but because the inflation in the US dollar and the deflationary period that it's going through coming out of this 7-year sabbatical cycle, we just see a bunch of major events all around the world, geopolitically, finance, just a bunch of things happening. And the Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, the euro, British pound, Japanese yen, all collapsing. And that's not it. We see just some major correlations, things that we've spoken about recently, like BlackRock filing bankruptcy and the British pound, all this happening on Rosh Hashanah and the end of the 7-year sabbatical cycle. It's not surprising that we see this happen during that time period, very symbolic. But we also see, because of the 2008 crisis, right now banks are required to use the funds of their depositors to cover debt before governments will even assist in bailouts. So you're going to witness bail-ins of the banks before possible bailouts and helps from financial services, while at the same time the Deutsche Bank and Credit Suisse are taking worse than 2008 in the housing market crisis, and the Federal Reserve has already promised American tax dollars to bail them out. So just more hidden inflation on the way. So just a lot of things that we're going to be talking about in this just Walk Bamboozle Hangout session today, that we've just don't even know where to get started. But what's going to happen within the next 12 months, year, 2 years to come? That's what I'm going to share with you. Because again, what you believe in your heart and you think in your mind will eventually become your words and your reality. And if you can see it in your mind and hold that frequency for a long enough frequency, then you can hold it right here in your hands. And what you repeatedly do gets ingrained in your subconscious mindset. And mine's to get you prepared for this collapse and this just financial shift and greatest transition of wealth that we will ever see in our lifetimes. So your conscience when this time comes. And why do I repeat these things every single day? Because whoever controls the money controls the information, and whoever controls the information controls the people. And we've been indoctrinated with just misinformation fed to us for years and years, and we're living somebody else's paradigm, and it's time to start creating our own. And once we start to pull back the veil like Toto and the Wizard of Oz, and we see the truth for ourselves and see how this financial system, this Ponzi scheme is actually ran, how currency is worthless, your money is worthless, you start to understand what's going on right now. You see the stock market's up, it's down, but let's pull back and join the Mile High Club and view this from a 30,000 foot overview. Remember, we detached from the gold standard in 1971. Our currency has no backing. No, it's called fiat currency. A Federal Reserve note, it's not even money. It's not even called money. It's called a note. It has no backing. It's worthless. All it is numbers. The banks do not have your money. If every single person walked into the banks right now in their city, any city in America, and wanted to withdraw their money, they would be insolvent. There would be no money to give to you. They've loaned it out. And now this has been happening globally. And now the globe is in a liquidity crisis. Most countries have more debt than they do have income. We have more debt in America, the biggest debt in the world, 30 trillion, more than we do GDP. So if we were to sell all our gross domestic product, we couldn't even get out of debt, you guys. And other countries are like this as well. So they've been doing this methodically for 50 years, since 1971. So America is the largest GDP. And the world leaders in debt, and they tell you they're the best country in the world. The leaders in everything. Nonsense. They got the biggest debt. Anything we do affects the whole world because they're pegged to our currency since 1971. So yesterday, this emergency meeting that they called right after we see, coincidentally, we saw finally after 14 years, the Lehman Brothers brokerage ends liquidations and payoffs, etc. The feds the next day have an emergency meeting more along the lines of the interest rates, etc. To we got to understand this is all tied in though. And we're witnessing the same thing all over again. 2001, Lehman Brothers crisis right now, cryptocurrency bubble, stock market bubble, just continuing in a downtrend for the Dow Jones like we've talked about coming out of this 7-year sabbatical cycle. Do you realize coming up soon people aren't going to be able to pay their mortgages, their rents, be able to afford gas and food? Do you realize the feds are raising rates, making the US dollar currency just skyrocket? Yes, in a pullback, not uncommon after we break past the 1618 to pull back and retest previous highs before we possibly get another bounce and continuation when the feds raise the rates again and then turn the money printer back on just like London did, make it go burr, But do you realize what's about to happen to people and their savings? Their savings accounts, which are losing accounts? We got to pay attention to all this that we're teaching here. So on 9/29, right after this Lehman Brothers liquidation ends, they called this emergency meeting by the Board of Governors, to talk about all these things. So we'll have to continue to see what happens. But here's what's happening right now. Again, the US dollar is running away from the other currencies, imploding currencies all around the world, like we've shared, And I'm just a self-proclaimed economist. I just study multiple 14, 16 hours a day. Even while at work, I'm always listening to a lecture, something. Because none of us are taught about education, economics, civics, finance. Because if we figured out how money actually works, the elites would be in trouble. They'd know that we knew what they were doing. That we're getting buried in debt and credit and slavery, poverty. So worldwide, this is what's been happening all around the world for 50 years, and that's why you see the poverty in countries all around the world. And all these countries and governments are just waiting for the central banks to bail them out with central bank digital currencies that are just over their horizon. So while the US dollar is taking off, again, what does that mean? It's waging war all against other currencies in the world, making your savings account, causing inflation, a hidden inflation. And why is this so strong? It's manipulated and has been for years. Okay? It's all methodical and planned and played out, to get you stuck in a central bank digital currency system that's coming, that's going to keep you tracked, traced, and tagged with your every financial move, getting governmental basic income, airdrop money to sit at home and collect free money that's just taken from you if you think you're going to save it after 90 days. If you don't use it to help stimulate the economy, while they hit you with negative interest rates to withdraw cash from your banks. You got to realize what's on the horizon, what's coming. You've got to move into your own financial system and get away from this poverty system that's coming. Something we've been preparing you for, pioneers, for so long now. So we can't get lost in this. We've got to stay focused on what's coming. And how we're going to move away from that is becoming our own president and our own financial, advisors. Move your funds, not financial advice, but out of the banks, onto ledgers, hardware cold storage devices, into central bank digital currencies like USDC, a digital dollar. It's just the same thing as your debit credit dollar. It's just the same thing as the digital dollar they give you on your bank, then loan out once you put your check in there. Move it away so you can control it. So when you see these bail-ins and these bailouts and these liquidity crises and these Chapter 9s, ICE 9s, bankruptcies all around the world, insolvencies, you're prepared and you're ahead of the curve. Something we've been teaching you about. And if you need more information, hit us up. Ask a pioneer in the community. Hit me in a comment section, a personal message in DMs on Facebook, etc. I don't mind to share my time with you all for free. That's what I've been doing for 3 years anyway. But let's kick this off, get into cryptocurrency technical analysis, break down some date numerologies that are coming up. We know October is a very important month. We know a lot of very historic events have happened during what is considered to be what's known as the October effect, like Black Monday and Tuesday of 1987, something we brought up recently. But proponents of the October effect, one of the most popular, so-called calendar effects, is in October, where we've seen historically just a ton of also during Shemitah years, just historic events throughout history, causing economic crisis, geopolitical tension, wars, global recessions, depressions, etc. Large pullbacks in the market, sometimes always due to some very scripted numbers. So just this very important time period that we've been preparing you all for 3 years is here, and 2 double eclipse periods coming up, one at the end of the month, October 25th, being a partial lunar eclipse, then heading into the November 7th, full eclipse, just being a very volatile time period where we could see just major volatility in the markets, perpetually even to the downside. So something we've got to prepare for, just causing mass chaos and havoc, war all around the world, so let's go ahead and kick this off and start talking about some cryptocurrency technical analysis and see where we're at. We know right now we are viewing, sorry about that, you guys, we're viewing Bitcoin on the weekly time frame right here, still holding a higher low in structure right now, roughly down 72% from our recent 69k top that we got last November. A very euphoric time period, a lot of people excited, but since the top we've seen a pullback of 72, and that's not uncommon to see this out of Bitcoin. Again, same thing from our automatic rally back in 2017 to our C19 sell-off of 72%. And we like to use the exoteric signs around numerology, gematria, and we know Bitcoin, it ties us highly into, this 72, okay, giving us 72 in English ordinal. So very important. That's also tying us into money, you guys, that same 72. A lot of this is happening in the 2022 year, just very symbolic, But to see this pullback on the weekly time frame over the last several months, not surprising, holding a low and then a higher low in structure, still possibly setting a very bullish W pattern breakout that could potentially take us up to around some of these, potential de-risking ranges around 28k to 33k, 32,200, possibly as high as that 37k, the 3 sevens, the jackpot in the casino, or 7 plus 7 plus 7 being 21, tying us into Saturn, Chronos, Father Time, or the 21 million coin supply that we know Bitcoin has. Just these very important ranges we've been exploring for potential de-risking opportunities, especially in some of the altcoins that this could bring a potential rally to as well. Again, we move in impulsive corrective waves, even in larger time frames over time. Corrective wave, impulsive wave is bound to come at some point, but 72% correction back here, and 84% correction, not uncommon to even see this bleed down even more. So something we brought up, just staying prepared for. So what we're seeing is just, can we get this double bottom and this move for short-term Bitcoin upside? We need a relief rally. That's all there is to it. We need a dead cat bounce, basically. We've seen this in time going back, just pulling this fib from high to low back here. We had and we pulled it from high to this low before our C19 manipulation event. So this high to this low, we got a dead cat bounce from the 0.5 fib before selling off, not uncommon. Same thing recently, 2021 April, right before double eclipse period that's coming up, double eclipse period. But a dead cat bounce from high to low came from the 0.5 fib right over here. So even though we set a higher high after the start of Rosh Hashanah and the 7-year biblical or a 7-year sabbatical cycle, the Shemitah, that wasn't uncommon. We knew unexpected volatility, fake outs, manipulation, hitting a 69K top, again, all tying us into Saturn during the year of Saturn last year, that 69, that 21 we spoke about a few minutes ago. Last year was the year of Saturn, so all just very exoteric. But getting a dead cat bounce eventually, if we were to pull this over, still from our high to low, we've got a dead cat bounce from a 0.5 via. So what we could see again is another potential very similar kind of like rally before a dead cat bounce, even lower, around the double eclipse periods in fourth quarter of this year. We know Bitcoin tends to hit its all-time highs and all-time lows over 13-year span periods in the fourth quarter. So very important. So not calling and predicting any of this, especially if we hold a higher low and double bottoming structure, this 17K area, 18K area could be the lows moving forward. We'll just have to continue to see if we retest this 2017 at automatic rally top. We don't want to see price action break down and lose that level, or we can see more downside. That 9K levels could be in the top in the cards. But can we get buyers stacked in and whales stacked in to get us back above this 200 simple weekly moving average on the weekly time frame? Very important. This 200 exponential, these are going to be plays, but to see this 21 crossing both of these, this is very bearish. This 8 crossing these 8 simple, this is very bearish. We got to see some kind of momentum change in these indicators, period. Give me some good signs, Bollinger Bands. Could show a potential retest of the lows. If we roll over, we could see that 15K. And if that happens, we can't be stuck in our, freaking out mindsets. We've got to accumulate, not financial advice, and get ready to long the market possibly for a bounce. Who knows? But we're just going to have to see. This possible 12.5, 14K, 13K range is still possible as well, something we've spoken about. So, real simple, just pay attention to this, you guys. Some things we've shared with you all, some patterns that are being printed way back in years prior before. Remember, technical analysis is finding past data and occurring it to current price action, predicting future price action. But doing it in a methodical and craft skilling, thesis building way. So very important. So let's break this down even lower on some 2-hour time frames that we've been talking about. Ooh, finally got some movement above the 223 exponential and the 322 exponential. For those that are new here, that's tying us into the Brotherhood of Death, Order 322 at Skull and Bones, the secret society out of Yale University. Very important that we pay attention to these exoteric moving averages. We've seen previous rejections and failed supports of these ranges. So finally getting right back here above 1993, a previous horizontal trading range that has been a failed break of support for quite some time. So to see multiple 2-hour closes above this range could see a potential step in stair-stepping back up above psychologically 20,300. That's very important. We just entered the Jewish Hebrew New Year in the Jewish Hebrew culture of 5783 on September 26th, giving us that 23. This is tying us into Bitcoin, giving us that 23, or all Mercury. Again, going to be talking about yesterday and the 10-3 date, October 3rd, the Mercury day, heading into tomorrow, the day of Mercury, Wednesday, or the day of miércoles. Okay, so very important, this 103. But Mercury giving us that 23, again being the god of commerce, something we'll break down even more later. But this 23 also tying us into the Jubilee year we just entered as well. So very important that we remember. So we got to get back above this 20,300, 20,500 range, hold support to stair step up even higher. Something we've been sharing with you all for quite some time. Been in just this grandiose regression trend. With finally being able to hold the heartline of this, we just gotta want to hold support of the top side as well. Some can look at this as like a broadening wedge type a pattern as well. If we would draw a trend line across going like this, with the trend line going down, we could still see a break of structure and still set some lows and potential ranges to short the market if we would have failed this heart line or failed this 187. That's just been a very popular range since the Queen's death. We also had on September 27th the Society of Jesus and the Jesuit order. These, people call this the sun, I call it a butthole. These buttholes, their birthday, and they equal 187 in numerology when you type out the Society of Jesus. So we've been hanging out around this 187 range for quite some time, not surprising. So we just want to continue to see when we can break out of this range. So very important. Definitely gonna start breaking this down even deeper. Just wanting to try and reiterate some things. I had to take some time off. My son's birthday recently was also September 27th. My mom's birthday October 2nd. So just took some time off. Like I said, had a major headache. Tried to come out and do some work with you all recently, and but it's just been very boring since, until we finally now today are starting to see a break above these exponential moving averages in this 1993 range that we're going to continue to keep an eye on. We want to make sure that we're paying attention to horizontal trading ranges and all these indicators, Bollinger Bands. We're on the top side. So that's very important. We could come back and retest some of these moving averages that we want to see held support of that we haven't had for quite some time. Multiple months now, you guys. So let's clear some of this up. The moon phases coming up. The next full moon will be October 9th. So very important. Also, this was a very boring and sideways period until this recent pump, and that's got a lot to do with us coming out of Mercury stationed in retrograde lately as well. So very important. We know we had a pump to begin, a manipulated sell-off around the recent Fed meeting that led to this arduous, just boring sideways, hanging out around 18,700 support range. Before getting this transition as we get ready to head into the full moon of October. So we know full moons are typically bearish, and that's 5 days away. So this could be the top, and again, this is a high with a lower high with a lower high, even again getting set in structure right now. So until we set a higher high, we don't have a confirmed trend reversal coming in, and that's something we've got to pay attention to, because we know 5 to 3 days before on the full moon, or 3 to 5 days after the full moon, can tend to be a bearish time period. So paying attention to these lunar cycles and the things that we've shared for over a year now, it's going to be detrimental and key for potential volatility to the downside moving forward. I can't reiterate this enough. So volume in the markets, we got to see bulls step in with confirmed volume as well. That's going to show a trend reversal, almost confirm a trend reversal. But again, this range right here that we just saw this at, right here at around this psychologically 191 range, holding support with the VPVR right there, getting a bounce from there. We see volume has really started to step in. So we have pretty much nothing. I mean, it's thin air. There's some volume in these ranges, and some very important levels that we've talked about recently, like especially this 22,300 range, 223. It's going to be very important to pay attention to. So let's just continue to leave our emotions on the sideline with these recent rallies until we see a confirmed trend break of higher highs. 24, let's say 20,621 even. We know we're setting higher lows on the 2-hour time frame, but that doesn't mean a thing, you guys. Especially the more we hang out sideways and boring, the more anything can happen. We definitely got to see a real confirmed move in Bitcoin. So another chart was getting back above our recent liquidity range before heading up to this potential $22,003, $22,030, just previous failed of support ranges, resistance, failed of support, a rally, fell of support, got above, fell of support. So before we can even think about this 23,000, again, we know how important that 23 number is. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens. XRP, we know we spoke about it recently. It's had some momentum as well, bouncing off of this 223 exponential moving average on the 2-hour time frame. We shared this with you. Just major great buying opportunity from this 32 cent 2 range, 322 skull and bones, just a euphoric rally hitting every one of our exit ranges and de-risking ranges along the way. We've been taking advantage of this 42 cent accumulation range to de-risk again at 47 cents. So until we see a rejection from 47 cents to set an even lower low to possibly around this 41 or this 36 cent for a potential another accumulation range, holding a low, higher low in structure before moving up to this potentially 62 cent, 61 cent range, possibly this 58. We know XRP equals 58. We'll share that in a minute. Range for the next high before reversing and maybe setting an even 27 cent lower low by the end of the year around the eclipses. Something we've been preparing you for was this potential automatic rally to de-risk for the last time before if we see history repeat itself like previous Shemitah years, bringing a catastrophic event before resetting the cycle and finally ending what some would call a quote-unquote bear market. It's starting to look a lot bear markety to me right now, the end of a bear markety to me right now. Just getting ready to transition into the next 7-year cycle. So again, the next 60 to 90 days could perpetually set us up in the future for the next 5 to 7 years, and that's something we've got to remember to pay attention to. So again, just setting multiple lower highs in structure as well. Confirmed higher lows, but we could see a break of that anytime. We don't hang out above these 223, 322 exponential moving averages very long. So very important to pay attention to that. And again, the full moon coming up in just a few days. But again, you guys, we can't get lost around the news articles and Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz and all the nonsense around this cryptocurrency community that, it was supposed to go to 589, you guys. What happened? 10K, what happened? But we've been preparing you for this. Don't get crazy about this move. It was just a technical breakout of this horizontal trading range that we've been teaching you about. And if we want to take advantage of this, we need to do it when we see these euphoric rallies. When the MACD goes euphoric and the RSI is overheld, overbought. We're just looking at this as traders right now. So the people that have been following around or the technical analysis around the last several videos around XRP, you've probably been doing very well, and your accuracy has hopefully been unbelievable if you've copied this chart. And I'm not trying to brag or boast or nothing. I'm just trying to share with you how when we share the exoteric signs around numerology, gematria, astrology, because everything in life is numbers, everything is math. Every day we forecast weather, to tell what time it is, the date, the year, all using math. We handle money. Math can often be solved to handle patterns, puzzles, crimes, some of the biggest mysteries in the world. Math isn't just formulas and equations and fractions. It's logic, common sense, and it's always true, you guys. It's rationality and truth. And using math and numerology, gematria, astrology, and the exoteric science from an ancient prehistoric world, we can develop a more outside-the-box approach that is going to allow us to be winners in this market, you know? So we can unlock our true potential. And that's all I'm here to teach you. We got to look at this from an outside-the-box approach. You know, when we look at this on the lunar cycles and the Hebrew calendar and the New York Stock Exchange, based on the New York time, you know, using the New York time, you know, we can just get a real leg and advantage on anyone else, you know. This crypto's not isolated from anything else, or any other crypto, you know. It's nonsense, the stuff that people share about it, and the hopium that they parasitically instill in some of the mind frames of, I know some very beautiful people, you know. But we're potentially going to be making a bull flag right here, you know, and I don't want to get too into this, but this could be a potential boom, you know, breakout. But since we're a few days away from the full moon, we'll just share some upside and downside targets with y'all. And that's, again, that let's ride this trend line to see if we can potentially hit this 36 over, you know, October 18th, 19th, a very important time period. I want to say that was a Black Swan event years ago. We'll have to look over my notes in a minute and see. But this could be happening before the end of this month, a pullback. So, but you know, a higher 58 cents, you know, XRP equals 58, you know, tying us into Puppet Master, and I'm paying attention to this, you know, giving us that same 58, you know. I think we have an opportunity to hit that range. In the year of the tiger, we might see that 59. So very important. We know XRP gives us that 15 as well, that 58. So, you know, I'm sharing this with you all in advance for potential get your limit orders ready to sell, not financial advice. And all this volatility, again, is coming because we're at the end of the Shemitah cycle and the biblical jubilee, this financial reset. Just like 1971, 1973, 1975 recession that we've shared with you. You know, everything that we're seeing, like the deflationary spike in the dollar that we've shared with you all. You know, this is all happening because of this time period. You know, we're watching a show play out right in front of our eyes. The world is their stage. You know, we're watching other currencies become historically weak right now, specifically the British pound, the euro. Again, even 2 videos ago, right before the collapse of the British pound, we were literally talking about the British pound and other currencies and what this dollar was going to do to it. So we know it's going to roll over, of course, causing a little relief, but I think we're going to continue to push up and see even more chaos and just havoc, okay? So very important. This symbolic 111 that we're at, this 110 right now, that's very exoteric, so very important. But let's look at Bitcoin a little bit more. We have this daily time frame chart. We're just stabilizing right here psychologically above 19,000, just really building support. You know, there's definitely opportunity for downside. We've shared this, especially the October and November 7th eclipse. 11/7 is how you internationally, or how we in America would write that date. It's written 7/11 internationally, and we know Bitcoin gives us that 117. So very important what happens between now and then. So boom, going back to Bitcoin. So when we ended this last sabbatical year in 2014, don't forget that after we ended this sabbatical year, this large wick to the downside that we're preparing for, may not get, but we went on a parabolic rally, So as of April and May of 2023, first quarter leading into second quarter, I'm expecting a potential very similar structure right here. So if we were to draw a possible bars pattern, something y'all know I don't like to do, we could potentially see Bitcoin head into a new reversal pretty recently if we were to see this happen. And let's stretch this out. So if we were to see a dramatic move in the near distant future to some of these ranges, boom, we could then, over a multi-year heading into especially 2023, 24, we can have a pretty surprising outcome heading into around that $250,000 range leading into the next 7 years. So pay attention to what I'm saying. Cryptocurrency has always had a very amazing recovery into amazing price discovery levels every time we get these large pullbacks. So even if the stock market continues to have a 2 to 3 year bear market over the next few years, we could see cryptocurrency recover 6 months to a year and be in an uptrend for multiple years. We could still see this again. This is hopium, and I'm not throwing this out here. I'm not predicting this, but we've seen it happen time and time again until we see that cycle break, especially after euphoric rallies and bear market bottoms. Bitcoin's the best performing asset, moved up over 1,000,000% in 13 years. Something we've never seen any other asset, gold, silver, stock do in the history of finance and the world. So very important. Not financial advice, but to take advantage of these very boring opportunities is undeniably opportunistic for those who are patient. Cryptocurrency is our future finance. Blockchain technology is our future finance. Central bank digital currencies and poverty for those that do not get away from the central banking monetary system that we're transitioning out of and have been preaching about for 3 years are going to get trapped. And this is why I'm really trying my best to pour my heart in my work and start to decouple and isolate crypto from the overall economic conversation. We still have so much more growth to witness in the next several years. The market cap is still super low from where it needs to be. And I don't want to get too philosophical, but I'll be breaking this down even more later. But this is pretty amazing as we get closer to these next upcoming eclipses. What is Bitcoin going to do to fulfill the rest of this year? And whatever it does is going to bring the same energy to the rest of the markets, the cryptocurrencies like altcoins, Ethereum, XRP, all the ISO 20022 coins, all the shit coins, everything will be happening. Lehman Brothers 2001 all over again if we see it. Keep your limit orders ready, not financial advice. But at the speed of which we can fall and get recovery could happen within 2 to 6 weeks. Crypto loves to do that. Again, the buybacks are historic and in automatic fashion. So very important. All right. Let's see where we want to go. We've got a lot to talk about. I'm just going to look over my notes for a quick second. And then we're just going to, keep diving into the minutia monotony. Maybe go over a few important dates. Today is the day that Siri was integrated into iPhone back in 2010, I believe. October 4th. The 10-4, drop the 0, you get the 14. Very important. Bitcoin this month, at the end of the month, on Samhain, Halloween, will be turning 14 years old. So I expect this 14 and 15 to continue to be very powerful numbers, and they have been for Bitcoin for the past several years, and we've shared this with you. This 14 ties us into God 14, time 14. Osiris, the ancient Egyptian god, was chopped up into 14 pieces. So just very important. But looking at some dates that we're going to be talking about, today obviously leaves 88 days left in the year, that very exoteric number. We know there are 88 keys on a piano, or you have to travel 88 miles an hour to get back to the future and back to the future. This very esoteric number that's tying us into the Taurus field, the toroidal field. You see the 8 and the 8 inside the 8, the infinity symbol, the sideways 8. The toroidal field or Taurus field is an electromagnetic field that makes up our aura or energy body, because again, we are energy, we are life force, we are Merkaba, we are prana. Okay, the Taurus teaches us that energy flows both up and down and all around. The Taurus flows in an infinite all around directions at all times, and sends equal amounts of energy both upwards, downwards, and in all directions simultaneously. In the center of our energy in Taurus field is our heart. So this day, leaving 88 days left in the year, seeing some volatility finally coming into Bitcoin, not surprising, especially when we tie this date to the next upcoming eclipse on October 25th, a date numerology of 77, being a 21-day time period, again tying us into Bitcoin. So very important. But a day that I wanted to talk more about starting off was October 3rd, connected to Rosh Hashanah, which was the end of the 7-year cycle, which was exactly 1 week or 7 days. So 7 days after a 70-date numerology that ended the 7-year sabbatical Shemitah cycle, that was Rosh Hashanah. So just very exoteric right here. But this 103 we shared with you when you typed out Mercury, you got that 103. And the reason this matters is because, again, Mercury is the god of commerce, the god of finance. And we see this right here, this 23, we can perceive it as 2 3s, or the 33, giving us, commerce, the god of commerce. This is tying us into cryptocurrency right here with this 45, that 42, tying us into Saturn. Bitcoin's highly tied to Saturn, but cryptocurrency giving us that 75 in numerology. So very important that we just make these connections. And again, that 23 in the 5783 year we just transitioned into the Jubilee year. And Mercury is the fake fraud fiat system that runs the world of money for the people, not the elite. So we need to pay attention to this. Very important connections, okay? So this day was 89 days left in the year, and a 55-date numerology, and that's very important. This 89 is the 24th prime number. Bitcoin has yet to break back above 24,000 or 20,000. Where's our chart at? We've yet to break back above our previous high and rejection, bull trap into a bear trap, bull trap, bear trap, possible bull trap coming up. But we've yet to break this 20,400, which is tying us into, the Jupiter logo, the 2 and the 4. So the 89 is the 24th prime number. Yesterday was the day of Mercury, the day of commerce, a day of Mercury or a day of commerce. It was really Monday, Moon Day. And Wednesday, tomorrow, October 5th, which is Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year, you guys, in the Jewish Hebrew culture. High volatility possibly to the upside tomorrow for the holiest day of the year. Let's see, not predicting. Again, it's not about predictions, just being esoterically thinking outside the box. Being, roughly right after 5 days before the full moon. It could be the last energetic upside potential before setting a downtrend towards the full moon and after. Who knows? We know how these things work. But This day was a 55-day numerology, and this is a very exoteric number that we've explained all year long, tying us into God, giving us that 55, or Satan, giving us that 55, or tying us back into Father Time and the Timekeeper, giving us that 55. We know we saw Queen Elizabeth. She passed away this year, giving us that 55 in numerology. She had her Platinum Jubilee. Platinum Jubilee gave us 55. We saw Pluto's return this year. Pluto's return gave us 55. And we know predestination gives us that same 55. So very exoteric right here, this number. So this day yesterday was a very important day. So we know we get this 55 tying us into Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin. So very exoteric right here as to why we're seeing this volatility tying together right here in the markets as well around this Mercury day, 103. Mercury equals 103. That is the 27th prime number. This was tying us into a date that added up to 77. 27 can be perceived as the 2 sevens. We've been talking about how this is all about the sevens this year. So as we move into the eclipses, this is very important. So today, connecting into the upcoming eclipse, again being 3 weeks, 21 days, this is just very exoteric to me, bringing some Saturn energy in the market. So we know this has been a transition from Saturn and Jupiter energy, the battle between father and son, where Thor overthrew Odin, or Kronos. So very important, this volatility and energy always around these very exoteric numbers, the sevens, the 21 being 7 plus 7 plus 7, the 3 jackpot sevens. So very important. These are just some teachings I can share with you specifically. So let's tie it to the upcoming 11/7 eclipse. 4 weeks, 6 days, 34 days. That's 3 plus 4 is 7. We have 46 chromosomes, 23 from our mom, 23 from our dad. That 23 again. So very important. Let's tie Rosh Hashanah back to an upcoming day, which will be 10/8. We know October is Octa 8. The octagon that they fight in UFC has 8 sides. So October is really the 8th month. This will be the 8/8 date, again tying us into the toroidal field. So very important, our energy body. This will be a 12-day time period, or 1 week, 5 days from the start of Rosh Hashanah, that 15. Moon equals 15. We know how important this 1551 number has been all year. So definitely paying attention to this day, and 8/9 as well. 8/9 again really being the 8th month. 89 is the 24th prime number. This 1 week, 6 days, we know Shiva, the goddess of destruction, equals 16. This day adds up to 61. It is the 83rd, it leaves 83 days left in the year. That is the 23rd prime number. And this is again tying us back into a day previously that left 96 days. The yin and yang, the balance. So potential energy coming in right here. And then we'll tie this into October 15, dating back to the start of Rosh Hashanah. It'll be 19 days, the 19th day after the start of Rosh Hashanah and the Jewish Hebrew New Year. So that's important. We know how important this 19 number has been all year long. It leaves 77 days left in the year, tying us back to a day that added up to 77 in numerology, all about the sevens. C19 closed down the world. Bitcoin previously just hit a 25K top before selling off for more than 25 days now. So, but very exoteric. If if we tie this also into our upcoming eclipse of 11/7, we see it's 3 weeks, 2 days, or 23 days. That 23 we've been talking about. So very, very important. Again, Hebrew 5783 year, the 23. So, which we're calling the year of the biblical 50-year Jubilee. So, Jubilee equals 23. Bitcoin equals 23. XRP equals 23 in a different cipher, but XRP is tied to Jupiter and commerce. So we're paying attention to all this right now. So we're getting ready to head into the 2023 year, the 223 year, skull and bones year. So this 23, very important that we just continue to break this down. The 22nd day, heading into 22 days. This will be an important time period, 22 days before the next eclipse, the 76, tying us into skull and bones. When we type out skull and bones, it equals 76. So Ripple, XRP, Ripple equals 76. We'll pay attention to this as well. So we know crypto has a phase it's moving through right now, and it's not like everything else. We need to be open-minded and start taking advantage of these continuation cycles and repeats and rinse and repeats that we've seen. So, we got to start taking action. It's kind of like the XRP army. They've done nothing in this world to take action recently in this euphoric rally. On a daily time frame, getting back above the 200 simple and the 322 exponential, before a sell-off, it wouldn't be uncommon to get a rejection from one of these, but they've done nothing but share drama and nonsense, and are just probably going to continue to see this push even lower by the end of the year. And it's not led to any money being made. It's just led to hopium. This is going to rise. But hopium won't change the world. It's going to keep us in a perpetual state of slavery, you guys. So de-risk in these euphoric price action ranges that we were adamant about seeing, for multiple months. Remember, this is my first biggest holding. So what I'm saying right now is coming from the heart, raw truth. But I'm playing this game and winning, and I sold when it was over $1 a year ago. After years of accumulation, I sold and I accumulated after the SEC lawsuit. Was screaming by, was getting a lot of shit for that. Was hitting the 702 golden pocket up here at $1.50, and people were screaming, "You're an idiot!" And I had a family to take care of, but I did my connections and I built a skill and a craft, and I took action. In the 52nd week of the year, back in March, I took action, no matter what anybody else was saying. Why? Because I had my own investment thesis, my own craft, my own skill. At the end of the day, it's your money you're playing with, and that's a tough pill to swallow. Everybody thinks they're going to become a millionaire, but it's important not just shoot you straight, man. You know what I'm saying? It's been the energy I've had about this channel since day one, and nothing has changed, and I can say this while also saying, again, this is my biggest holding. I'm in it for the long run. I know what it is, I know what's coming to the future, but every week I get sharper in my vision, and every week I dial in my investment thesis, and every week I dollar cost average in more and more, and that's why the calls have been coming to fruition the way they do around this coin, and we've been making money in this coin because we became a sophisticated investor in this coin. And that's a skill all in itself. It takes time. And if you're somebody who's deep in the XRP game, don't get offended by the things and I say around it. It's to add clarity and transparency to help you understand what's going on here, to sever the emotional ties so you can become an emotional investor instead of a gambler. Excuse me, let me get a drink of water. So, these things we've talked about are just important for you to keep in mind. But where this bigger connection comes in mind is where the 19th of October comes in. Famous Black Monday, 18th 19th of October back in 1987. Also, again, during a Shemitah year. How coincidental is that? You've known about this for a while. But this is going to be an even bigger connection. This being a 19-day time period away from the eclipse, very important. 73 is the 21st prime number. Just so very exoteric. We're exiting at the 21st anniversary of 9/11. You're seeing important connections over and over again. So just can't reiterate how important this possible time period is going to be. So that's enough about the dates. Moving forward, we know how else, you can go and do your historical stock market research on the October effect, and some of the things that we've shared about 1973, 1975 recession that I believe we're entering, at least definitely for the stock market. I believe crypto will recover within 6 months to a year, possibly setting even new all-time highs. Not financial advice, but go and do your research on some of these previous things. Follow us here on the Daily Candle Close News. You can also follow us, you guys, on Rumble at Honest H, capital Abe, capital H, capital AB3, 123 AB3. So very important. Feel free to do that. But Yom Kippur coming up tomorrow, being the holiest day of the year in the Jewish Hebrew culture, very important. We're going to be paying attention to this highly. It's going to be probably a very volatile time period for cryptocurrency. Could be low, could be high, who knows? But giving us that 144, the 144,000 chosen. Giving us that 99, we're in the year of Jupiter. Jupiter gives us 99 and 45. 39 is the mirror of 93 we get in Saturn, but this 45 tying us into Bitcoin. We're going to pay attention to Yom Kippur tomorrow on 10/5, giving us that 105. The Dow Jones, it hit its high this year on January 5th, the 105 date, the 15 date. Okay, so that 15 number, again, very important. Irrefutable, undeniable. This is, again, the day of Wednesday, Miracoles, Mercury, the day of finance. From our eclipse, this is a 4-week, 5-day time period. I just shared with you the 45 connection on Yom Kippur equals 45. Bitcoin equals 45. So this 57 date numerology we've talked about in the past is a very volatile day. The 57 date numerologies tend to bring a sell-off in the market more than I see them pump to the upside. Not financial advice, just sharing that with you, but it's tying us into our favorite pals. That same 57 we get in the Society of Jesus. This year we're going to see the 57th Super Bowl, so very important. That's going to be a very major event to pay attention to. So this day tomorrow is just going to be very important, being 33 days to the next eclipse. So very, very important. A little bit of more technical analysis on the daily time frame for Bitcoin. I know it's going to possibly get a little bit of, crowded with some of the things that we may see on the charts, but again, just trying to get back above the top side of this regression trend and break these even higher levels. To see a daily close for the first time, this candle body close above 1993 today on October 4th is going to be detrimentally important heading into Yom Kippur tomorrow. But again, could be a very volatile day to the downside for Yom Kippur tomorrow. Not financial advice, and we know who would have liquidated that money. But till we start closing dailies above this 55 exponential moving average right here at 20,400, we shared why that was important. Nobody can entertain this rally. There's that 89, the 24th prime number above 21,500. Still got some room for potential growth if we can see daily candle closes continue to, hold an uptrend in some of these moving averages. So weekly time frame, real quick. Just view out. When in doubt, let's view out. Again, that's pretty bullish, you guys. Holding a low, indecisive candle, hammer candle, pretty scary event to the downside possibly, but we closed green, held support at 18,700, 187, the penal code for murder, before getting a rally, you guys. So very important. Weekly, good to see this. Closing a weekly coming up, quite a few days away, so anything can happen. But to close a weekly on Sunday coming up, that's going to be bullish, you guys. To close this Sunday night above 1993, that's going to be a good sign. Right now, getting stopped out at this 13. This is the 8 exponential moving average on the weekly. Let's look at RSI, relative strength index, on the weekly time frame. Okay, could be showing a possible bullish divergence, you guys. Unless there's a washout, it could be a washout, bringing us down even to more underbought, oversold territories. But this is a weekly chart. We're closing weekly candles on new lows with a previous uptrend in RSI. Possibly bullish divergence. We'll entertain that in another week or two around the eclipses. Let's look at it around the more exoteric lunar pattern. We're already emotionally prepared for Bitcoin to come down to 12 to 13K, exiting its 13-year anniversary, getting ready to head into its 14-year anniversary. Ultimately, if it pushes up to the upside, because we know historically the second, third week of October is just a great time period for Bitcoin heading into its better performing month, the month of Bitcoin, November. We'll just, Thanksgiving, a very Thanksgiving month. Look at this in a broader view, you guys. So, very important. Would like to see this week just continue to close above that. The monthly, okay, starting to show a bullish engulfing. We want to see this monthly of October close above this 20,400 at least, you guys. That could be good enough to continue to see us push up. Ethereum recently, we've talked about it. We've talked about XRP today. Let's go to the 2-hour time frame. Oh yeah. Okay, we've got some crosses. If Bitcoin's going to have a buyback, then ETH is going to get, pulled up to this 14 to 15, 16 range. It's going to be hard to get back above this 1700 previous sell-off, but coming up to this 200 right now, getting stopped out on the 2-hour, this 300, 223, 322, not surprising. But, hey, the Fed can come out tomorrow and say, we're quantitative easing, just like London and the British pound, they're collapsing. The money printer's going over there. The Feds could come out and the money printer over here, quantitative ease, and we just see this market fucking rally. That would be textbook symbolic and manipulated. That would be awesome. How would you feel about that? They're going to come out soon, just turn the money printer back on because they know the economy's in a recession. They can't handle the inflation rates. Just print, just turn the money printer on. We know they're either going to let the economy collapse or turn the money printer on, one of the two. So, boom. Just holding support of this previous range, this $1,200 range, previous resistance that we've talked about. So, I don't want to give this too much of my energy till we break back above this 14 to 15K. Ethereum equals 14, 15. Very important. We're in the year of the Tiger, 15. So very similar to Bitcoin, very boring sideways accumulation ranges, high volatility, bear trap, bull trap, bear trap, just yin yang, balance, very important. So if we can hold this for Ethereum, it's just continuing a higher low structure, still setting potential lower highs, but in these rejection resistance possibilities not looking great. But this is the very end of bear market vibes, like I've said, where there's no retail, very boring, sad, people hate their lives. But the people who are really pioneers and investors, we're loving this because this has been opportunity. At least, and a bear market's a trader's paradise, and a hodler's hell. So very important. Let's continue to see if we hold support of this 1250, 1200 psychologically, where our lower wick came in. Oh well, 1222, 69. So very important. We'll see what happens for Ethereum moving forward. Oil, we talked about it recently, is in a rally as well, way above the 223 and the 322. Bullish alligator mouse on these other exponentials, and if we can get crosses without rejections, then this is going to be something to pay attention to for your oil rallying back towards $96 a barrel. So very important. We knew that this downtrend wasn't going to last in oil over the last several months. The closer we get to these eclipses, the closer we get to the elections, the worse it's going to get on your savings account, and the more we're going to see oil, gas, food, etc., inflation hit this economy. So very important. The more the dollar rages, the more that happens as well. So, oh wow, look at the dollar on the 2-hour time frame, holding support of the 322 exponential possibly. That would possibly indicate a bounce in structure. Kind of A, B, C, or a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern to the downside before impulsive wave again. We'll have to pay attention. This is how these markets work, though, you guys, especially coming out of the Shemitah year. NASDAQ, we know it's still been doing its own thing. We'll look at this on a daily time frame. NASDAQ. Yeah, NASDAQ's just got a cross in these 223, 200 weekly, 200 daily. So that could be bullish for a rally back up to potential 1618 golden pocket, 702, or even higher for the NASDAQ. We know it's been doing its own thing in the tech sector. S&P 500 though, just continuing to set. Well, it's got a bounce versus the Dow Jones. It's been doing that. We talked about that, but still setting lower lows, downtrend. Paying attention to this heavily. So, all right, you guys, we talked about a lot of things, a lot of motivation, inspiration, education, cryptocurrency finance. Just stay building your craft and your skill and your thesis and working on you guys. And just stay as calm as you can be. Just take a deep breath and Hakuna Matata, no worries, you guys. So we'll be back out to talk about a lot of things. And until then, enjoy. Pioneers rise. Build your fortress and build your legacy.